Fair enough. I don't even have anything witty to say.
Yeah. Oh, there's 64 epic cores on my table, and I'm happy to see you. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone, episode 196, and it is so great to be back. Your once-weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm Rhett.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday night, or in podcast form over on Anchor.fm, or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, sometimes some Star Trek. We read all super chats on the air so long as they don't demonetize my channel in any way, shape, or form, and you ask nicely. We do drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat, and we'll give some early show shout-outs as we go along. And speaking of the chat, if you want to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon or Float Plane. Links are both down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to my Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and get behind-the-scenes content that no one else does. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Rhett.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
The captain's chair is a little uncomfortable.
You'll grow into it. You'll grow into it. I did notice during the sponsor spot, you called it your channel.
Heck yeah, I did.
All the tutorials on my channel. And then you kind of hesitated and then just kind of kept going. Like, maybe no one noticed.
No, that was pre-planned. In fact, I totally meant to, I botched it, but when I was doing the intro, didn't really matter because nobody could hear it very well anyway, unless you're watching the restream. But
yeah,
I was going to go out of my way to be like, oh, you could join the Patreon and talk with me and Jeff and the other hosts from Talking, like,
yeah, I didn't catch the outro.
Yeah, I think I did it in the outro. So I took control of it. I said, maybe even Jeff will be there. Who knows?
Does a DQ Blizzard count as a drink? In about 30 minutes, it will.
God, 30 minutes? What, do you got that real cold air conditioning?
Yeah. Alan, $5 Canadian. Thank you so much, Alan. Welcome back, Jeff. We missed you. I tried to get on your Discord, but it kept messing up, so I unpatreoned. I'm sorry to hear that. We do have... you know what? If you Patreon on, you can DM me directly through Patreon, or if you jump onto Floatplane, you can also get on through Floatplane. So if you'd still like to join, we'd be more than happy to have you. Oh, let's see. World Peas having some agua, some Mexican water. It looks like. Let's see. Anybody else? Anyone else having issues with Reddit? I actually tried to get on Reddit to see if I could find some last-minute news stories, and it wasn't loading a couple of my subreddits. So I'm not sure if Reddit's having issues or not. And I'm wearing my Reddit shirt tonight, so maybe I'm part of it.
What is Reddit? I've never heard of that.
Don't do that, Rhett.
And the Oscar goes to...
Don't bring the trolls. Gosh. Anywho, did DM you directly. Well, I was on vacation last week. I will check my DMs. I apologize for that. Let's see. Magic, sipping some Adroit Theory, Death of Civilization. That sounds delicious. I think I have one of those in my fridge right now. Rhett, what are you drinking tonight?
Jeff,
since you pre-poured.
I did pre-pour. Jeff, as you well already know, I did pour myself a glass of red wine, and it's a cheap glass. I'm unashamed, but it's Black's Station 2018 Yolo County Red Blend, and it's delicious. It's nice. A red blend of a Syrah and a Verdot, grown in Yolo County, which I think is like where Napa is.
Yeah.
Or near Napa, rather.
Napa-ish.
Yeah. And no, it's delicious. I've got it in this cool, fancy Mason. Which way am I going here? Mason jar wine glass. So,
that's a fantastic glass. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a gift for our wedding. And so we drank all of our drinks during my wedding out of this glass.
Nice. I had a beer earlier this week from a brewery that I had never heard of before, fairly local to us, McMinnville, from Foreland Beer. I had their, what was it, the Black Volcano or something like that. It was just a black lager. It wasn't 5%, nothing special. Holy crap, that was one of the best black lagers I've ever had. And I think I said in the review, you could have told me it was an Imperial Stout, and I probably would have believed you. Like it had body and flavor and coffee, and it was delicious. Well, I happened to find another one from Foreland in the store today, so I had to pick it up. This is their Landform Pilsner, and normally I wouldn't spend good money on a Pilsner. But the last one impressed me so much that I figured I'd pick it up. German-style Pilsner, 4.9%. Appearance is bright, effulgent, and straw. And the character is desiccate, herbal, and botanic. So, those are words I have never heard describe a Pilsner before. So, let's see how she do.
Looks good.
It's got some color to it.
Yeah, and that's out there from McMinnville, you said?
Yeah, McMinnville.
Yeah,
Foreland Beer.
I've been drinking. I've been working out there so much. I've been visiting all the breweries.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a great little distraction on my lunch breaks.
You having lunch out there at the Airspace Museum?
God, dude, that's a cool spot out there.
That is a cool spot.
Now, my favorite lunch spot, it's the Granary, Grain Station.
Yeah.
God, I love that place. Good food, good beer.
Mm-hmm.
They're a brew pub that makes some pretty good stuff. So
yeah, pretty fantastic bar food.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it's just solid brewery food. Like,
yes. I know what I'm getting. I want this gut bomb to fall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what it is. John poured tonight. Yeah, it's a little high carbonation in that one, and that head is not going anywhere. Like it's still poking out the top of the glass. So I think I'm just gonna have to drink this one down.
When I was putting together that beer review, I just love dark lagers for that very reason. Like you can pack so much character into them. You can pack so much just variety. Like a dark lager encompasses so much.
Skull just posted this. Thank you, Skull, for looking this up. Landform Pills from Foreland Beer, 3.9 on Untapped. And as he said, 3.9 might be the highest rated Pilsner I've ever seen. Yeah.
Wow.
I've never rated a Pilsner 3.9. You're lucky if you can cross 3.25 in my book. Just because there's typically not a lot of flavor in a Pilsner. There's nothing to rate it on. Unless you're German, and then it's like, oh yes, crisp, clean, smooth, 3 ingredients.
But see, that's the beauty, right? You're saying there's nothing to rate it on, but you rate it for what it is, right? Like you shouldn't be.
But it's like rating vodka. I didn't taste something wrong with it, so it's a good vodka. Like that's what rating a Pilsner is, honestly.
See, because there should be that's one thing that always gets me about Untapped is that there's a lot of ratings that are skewed based on just sheer preference, obviously. And the type of person that uses Untapped is going to skew their ratings that way sometimes. Not everybody, but a lot of folks do. And there's never like this beer is exactly what it's meant to be. It's exactly what it was trying to be. And maybe it's just bad, but there should be some points in there for like, hey, this was a beer that they were trying to make this way
totally
on purpose.
Yeah. Steve and I have talked about this a couple of times where we rate very intentionally towards what were they trying to do. Because if your description is accurate, then I'll base on the flavor of it and how well you did it. But first and foremost, your description has to be what's inside the can. This one's definitely bright. It's definitely a little botanical. It's much more earthy, herbally than like it's almost gin like. This is almost gin and tonic like. Like that level of it's got something there. It's kind of hard to explain because these are flavors I'm not used to getting quite this bold. But I will say it's quite good.
It looks like a good beer.
Quite a good Pilsner.
Well, we got 86 watching. We could jump into some news.
Yep, I think it's about that time. Starting with, I've been getting started on the 3D printing game. I've been having a lot of fun in what little downtime that I have. Starting to work on a couple models of my own. I've got a couple of things that are in the pipeline, both for the channel and just personally, that I've been wanting to build for quite some time. One of them is something that you guys have been asking for since I posted it like 9 months ago. And that is, where is the Xbox One S PC mod? And I got to a point with that one where I went, I need to do this. I want to do this mod correctly. I want it to look factory when it's done. And so I'm going to print my own backplate to make it all work. Otherwise, I'd be having to hack up the PCI bracket for the video card and do a whole bunch of weird things to it. And it's just like, I'm fairly good with hand tools. I did the entire Dishonored case mod with nothing but hand files and a Dremel, and a hot glue gun and some rub and buff. Like, I'm pretty good with hand tools. But I wanted this one to look factory. And so that's one of the things I'm working on. I've got a couple other things. Someone asked what 3D printer I picked up. I've got a Prusa Mark III's, Mark III's Plus. Absolutely love it. It has been fantastic. Very few problems with it. Only had to clean one spaghetti monster, and it was half my fault. So I'll say 95% my fault. I put supports on everything except one piece, and the one piece was the one that really needed supports, and that's the one that broke about a third of the way through and ruined an 11.5-hour print.
That'll never happen again.
Nope. Got that short up now.
Some mistakes only need to be made once, Jeff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anyway, as I said, I've been getting into 3D printing a lot more. Engineering's always been something that I really enjoyed, and CNC type work has been always something that I enjoyed. But this one caught my eye today. And I think this would have caught my eye whether or not I was getting into 3D printing recently or not. And that is that RepRap, the 3D printer company, has developed a script for printed beams out of PLA that are as strong as steel, that are as strong as the equivalent assembly in steel is. Has the same rigidity and the same overall strength. Now, I'm sure like tensile strength is probably there, rigidity is probably there, maybe not impact strength, but that might be up for debate. But the point is, they're essentially building scaffolding out of PLA 3D printed parts that are as strong as steel as their steel counterparts. And what's better, this script is open source. It's a Python script that you enter the dimensions of the beam that you want, and it will generate a beam of whatever length and whatever dimensions that you need. This was all done really to test out the capabilities of some of the new conveyor belt 3D printers, the endless Z-axis 3D printers. Because one of the first tests you want to do is, well, if I have an infinite Z-axis, how long can I print something? And so they went about building a script to generate beams that were much, much longer than a traditional print bed. And they said, well, why don't we just leave it, make the print go as far as it can. So let's generate a script to do that. And beams are a pretty popular choice to print because they look cool and might serve some function. And they ended up coming up with a formula that essentially matches steel.
Yeah. See, and that's what's kind of interesting is that, like, my geometry teacher always told me in high school that, a good background in geometry and things like that would serve you well in engineering if you ever wanted to, because that's all of this is like, it's engineering, plain and simple, but it's the geometry of it, because it's the shape of it that's giving it all of its strength. And, you know, a lot of people know naturally that like triangles add a lot of strength to a structure, which is why you see triangles in bridges and buildings, or if you're lashing something, you might add triangles. Well, what's even stronger than that is whatever the shape is that they used in this. I think I read earlier, I don't have it in front of me, but it was like a tetrahedron.
Yeah.
And anyway, the tetrahedron is immensely strong. And so inside of that shape that you see, they also have cross beams and things like that.
Yeah.
That lend extra strength.
Essentially, what they're attempting to do is build something that's very similar to like a crane setup. If you look up and you see, you know, the cranes that are building skyscrapers, they're all done out of tetrahedrons and triangles and things like that. They're typically cable supported, where they have a cable on each end, and that cable is holding the whole thing in tension towards the center. So it's not a load that's trying to bend out, it's a load that's trying to push in. And that's essentially what gives those the ability to lift beams that are twice the weight of the skyscraper of the crane itself, and do it safely and stably. They've applied that to a 3D printing algorithm that you can print whatever size beams that you want for whatever project you might have. It's pretty cool.
Very cool. And it's free, baby.
Mm-hmm. Free is always the best number. Yeah, it's just a Python script, and you can download it yourself, and you can even use, you don't have to have an infinite z-axis printer to do this. You can generate the G code with the script and then print it on a printer so long as you fit within the confines of its print bed. And so you can print something like this on an 8x10 build volume like the Prusa is, or Creality 3, or, you know, Ender, or whatever you happen to have. So I
mean, and that's really the beauty of 3D printing to begin with, is that it democratizes so much stuff like this, because you know, maybe somebody doesn't have the background or the understanding to build something like this, but then somebody comes up with this and they say, hey, this design is yours for free. Because the glory of 3D printing is that you can literally make anything as long as you have the input for it. You know what I mean? Like if you have the input to feed to the machine and say, hey, build this, it's going to build that. It doesn't necessarily take an engineering background or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to get back into CAD for the first time in like 15 years. And so not much has changed, but at the same time everything's changed. And so the tool set is familiar but also vastly different, and everything works a little differently now, because the last time I had to do anything CAD related was 2006, 2007 maybe. It's been a while. But getting back into it and been having fun with it.
Sweet.
All right. In news that I am starkly interested in, and came as a little bit of a surprise to me, Unity has made their largest acquisition to date, which is actually one of the more surprising things of this story. Was that at $370 million, this is one of the, or $320 million, this is one of the biggest things that Unity has ever, or the biggest thing that Unity has ever bought, considering the size of Unity and some of the acquisitions they've made in the past. Unity has acquired Parsec. So you all know my favorite remote desktop gaming client. It is now owned by Unity, the game engine developer. It was purchased for a paltry sum of $320 million. And basically the incentive for Unity to do this has come as a result of 2020. Has come as a result of the work from home initiative from a lot of different industries, but programming, game development, CAD work, things like that, where maybe all you have at home is an iPad or a Chromebook or, you know, some old family computer, because the average person doesn't have a desktop anymore. You have gaming PCs, and then you have like workstation PCs if you work out of your house. The average person might have a smartphone or might have a laptop. Like there's not a huge call for full-on desktop PCs anymore. And the market kind of shows that. So when all of a sudden everyone was forced to work from home, and you had CAD workstation, developers needing to run AutoCAD 2020 from their, Surface 2 or something like that. It was a bit of a snag, and Parsec was able to bridge the gap from their home PC or home device, whatever it was, and connect them latency free and near real time to their workstation PC, and use the software that was installed there, get access to the network that was present there instead of having to VPN to everything. It's basically what Citrix always wanted to be, but without the headache of Citrix. And like I said, it's been my favorite game client for the last couple of years. And I'm going to watch this one with great interest because I want Parsec to remain free. I'd like some more features to come out. I don't want this to just go behind a paywall and that. Now they have a paywall. They have a work program. They have Parsec Warp, and that gets you more uncompressed images and faster frame rates and everything else. But as a game client, you can still do 4K 60 or 4K 60, which is how you edit my videos.
Yeah, it works great. Yeah, luckily they did tweet, Parsec did, saying they have no plans to change anything about the free Parsec experience. So
yeah,
hopefully they follow through on that and it's not a big deal. So,
well, a lot of companies have said as such. So
yeah,
I'm still going to watch with great
and that's
interest.
true. And unfortunately, the truth is like, as much as I like Unity, like they have had issues like within the last 3 years. Even one of the big ones today that I was reading about is changing the terms of service for for developing for consoles and things like that. And I'm not sure exactly how much it's going to change or what it's going to change. And some people said some of the things I was reading was disingenuous, and I didn't dive too much into it. However, that's one thing. And then you look at the whole, I don't know, there's a lot more from the last few years, but who knows? We'll see. Only time will tell. And it's definitely an interesting purchase. And I think you're right that it's definitely based on that work from home aspect. And who knows? We'll probably see it integrated more and more and more into development work and things like that.
Yeah. Figures, because I finally reached out to Parsec and made an introduction this last week.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I've done like 9 videos with you guys on my channel. I figured we should know each other.
Can't hurt. Well, who knows? It's not like, it's not like they're getting tossed out with the bathwater. So we'll see.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens with it. I'm anxious, but also a little excited because a little bit more capital, a little bit more development time behind it. And we'll see what happens. I have a couple of things that I want to see out of Parsec. One of them is LAN-only internal authentication system, whether that's a paid service or whether that's a license that you buy. That's what I want to see because, again, my end goal for like my cloud gaming server is a LAN server in a box. It is a box that relies on nothing externally. So I bring a box and a switch and 20 Raspberry Pis, and we've got 20 people gaming. Like, that's what I want. And no traffic has to leave the box. I know.
Beautiful.
I'm thinking off the grid in a globally connected gaming environment. But that's what I want. Cough, cough,
Somebody's got to
Oculus.
think it before it comes true.
Cough, cough, Oculus. Fitbit said they didn't intend on changing anything when they acquired Pebble. So, if we want to get into those semantics. I don't have time for a Pebble Steel rant today. Well, I do, but I'm not going to. In other news, we had to do a little bit of digging, but we do have some Apple news to get into today. And that is that the Mac Mini is getting its first redesign in over a decade. That's right. The current Mac Mini, the shell that we all, well, You might know it, you might love it. I know it and love it. I own a Mac Mini. I've owned quite a few of them. Is finally getting a facelift. It's been in the same aluminum enclosure since, I want to say 2009. No, it was 2010. It's 2010. 2010. So 11 years. It's finally getting a facelift. And as the most recent model, some much needed port expansion. So this is kind of a mock-up of the expansion that it might look like. Or no, this is the current, right? Gosh, I don't even know anymore. I think the current model only has 2 USB-Cs and 2 USB-As. Like it's not great by any stretch of the imagination. I want to say pictured here is the Intel iMac, which did have 4 USB-Cs, or Intel Mac Mini. But the M1 only has 2 USB-Cs.
Right.
Anyway, the new design is taking obviously some cues from the new iMac, in which the power plug is being replaced for the same MagSafe power connector that's on the iMac, which I have to say, in the form factor of the Mac Mini, I'm not really a big fan of. I like just the power supply integral. I don't want a power brick on a Mac Mini. Desk space is everything, and the reason I buy a Mac Mini is because I want a lot more desk space, and I don't want a power brick because you wanted to make my Mac Mini, a half-inch smaller in all 3 dimensions. Like, right. Put the power supply inside the Mac Mini. So I'm already a little upset by that. What I will say is it does appear that the Mac Mini is getting some new ports. It's going to have 4 USB Type-C. Supposedly all 4 of those may be Thunderbolt 4, although we have no ideas on the internals at this point yet. Rumors also suggest an increase from 16 gigabytes of RAM to either 32 or 64, depending on which next generation Apple chip it gets, whether it's the M1X or the M2, both of which are speculative names at this point. But knowing Apple, M1X, M2, not a hard leap to make. One thing I do like that I'm seeing here is there's still a full-size Ethernet on here. They're not pushing the Ethernet out to the power brick like they do on the iMac, because it's amazing what happens when you make a computer that's thick enough that it can still take a headphone jack and an Ethernet jack. You can still actually use the computer. Hopefully it can run more than 2 screens. There was a time that I definitely would have said that. I've rolled out some offices with Mac Minis before, and we had to run out a couple with Mac Minis and external graphics ports with like RX 580s on it, so we could drive multiple monitors, depending on what the office was. So I've certainly done that, and I've dealt with the 2 monitor limitation. Right now, my Mac Mini is over on my desk, and that's my 3D printing desk. I have a Mac Mini serving as the CAD station and everything else. I have a 28-inch 4K monitor on that thing, and it is lovely. And honestly, for that kind of work, I don't need another monitor. That's a one-stop shop productivity station. I'm not browsing Reddit and having Spotify open plus 3D modeling and a dedicated window for Discord. I've got a desktop for that. So in my use case, it's a secondary desktop, which is, I know, a weird luxury to have, but all sealed with glue and no serviceable components. Not if the FTC has anything to say about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Turn in a corner.
Right to repair is a thing, and that thing is coming. A little bit closer every day. There's no need to when everything is soldered on and no fan. The Mac Mini does have a fan, and I will say it's a good thing that it has a fan, because like we've seen in the iMac, the base model iMac, it will thermal throttle if you don't have enough airflow going through it. Like we see in the MacBook Air, it will thermal throttle if you don't have enough airflow going through it. I have 2 M1 Macs right now. I bought a MacBook Pro 13-inch and love that. And then I liked that so much that I bought the Mac Mini to work as a CAD station. The Prusa Slicer software has native ARM64 application for it, so it works perfectly. And it's one less thing that I have to run on my main editing workstation. I mean, my editing workstation would have worked just fine for it. But the way I work is I always like to separate my brain so I don't get distracted working on one thing when I'm supposed to be working on another thing. And so having a dedicated, this is my CAD station, keeps that separation in my brain for me. Again, it's a weird problem to have. But
Super chat from Kren6977, $2. G'day.
I'm assuming those are Aussie bucks. Good day, sir.
Cheers to you.
Or madam. I'm sorry to assume. But cheers.
Got to pour a little extra over here.
I have to say, if I was rating this beer on Untapped right now, this is the Foreland. What was this? The Landform Pils. This is a 4.0. It's a 4.0. Maybe I hesitate with a 4.25, but I think that's a little bit of my bias against Pilsners poking in too. I mean, like you said.
See, I think my speech got to him, guys.
It might have, but hear me out. Okay? Because while this is one of the most excellent Pilsners that I've ever had, it's excellent. There are beers that are far better than it, regardless of classification. And so that's what I've always said with like people rating, Dragon's Milk 4.5. There are better versions of Dragon's Milk. Like, it's not even the best in its own product stack. Mm-hmm. And if I rate something 4.5, does that mean the next beer is a 5.0? No, Dragon's Milk is a terrific 3.75 or 4.0. I think I've got it as a 4.0. Because the Dragon's Milk Chai Reserve that I had a couple years ago, that was a 4.75. And there was no question about that. So I'm rating this a 4, and that's because I think this is the top that you can get with a Pilsner. It's just the top of what a Pilsner can be. There are better beers out there, but this is among the most flavorful.
There you go.
As far as this classification goes. So I'm meeting you in the middle.
Yeah.
Pilsners and lagers, I grade on a curve.
Yeah. I mean, there's a curve everywhere, Mm-hmm. I mean, what is the best beer? It's pretty subjective. That's why every beer has a different rating by every user on Untapped, Yep. Yeah. That's kind of like the whole dilemma, with art in general. And I don't know, is beer art? I'm going to make the case like there is artistry that goes into it. There's a lot of like trial and error and creativity and all of these types of things, but art can generally be intended to be or mean one thing, and then the audience interprets it in a way which was not foreseen or intended. But is the audience interpretation incorrect? Absolutely not.
Terrific. I love you, man. Five Kiwi dollars my way. I'm on hold with HP support, so take my cash and have a shot on me. You know what? As soon as I'm done with this, I think I'm just in solidarity with you because I have spent literal days of my life on hold with HP support. I'm going to pour myself a little snifter of scotch just for you. I'm not even going to ice it.
Maybe you should call HP support and we can do it live on the show.
You know what? Oh no, I don't think I have a scotch glass down here. I don't have a Glencairn. Oh no.
Well, you got a drinking horn.
I have a horn. I'm not pouring a horn of scotch though.
Why not?
It just seems weird.
Here, just take my scotch glass.
There
I'll
you
pass
go.
I'll pass it through the.
I don't think it works that way. I mean, my edit with the transporter effect was pretty darn good in the Wendell video. But that was just special effects, Red. I'm not actually that clever.
No. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Mike, $5 donation. Thank you so much, Mike. Do you think when Zen 4 Sapphire Rapid servers begin to ship with DDR5, we will see massive dumps from early Skylake servers, or will that take some time? I think that's still going to take some time. Server rollout is never happens on the timeline that we consumers think it will, because the decision to buy, service, maintain, and replace servers is made years in advance. When you buy a server farm, or hell, even if you buy a server rack, you buy that rack based on the total cost of ownership, which means I know the initial purchase price, I know what my power bill is going to be, I know what upgrades I may have to make in the future because I'm putting those off for right now, or we're going to grow into it, or whatever else, whether it be storage or speed or graphics or AI or whatever. We have a budget for upgrades as we go along, and we are going to run this server for X years. And that is all based into the TCO when you purchase that rack. And every company has a different replacement cycle that they go on. Some server farms, they go, you know what? Like, there are still X58 systems. There are still, C602 systems, like Dell R710s, coming out of production. 2010? Like, now, there's not a lot, but there are some people that are starting to dump, like, early generation 2011, late generation 1366 style servers. There are still Opteron 6000 servers in production. Not a lot, but there's some, because they bought the servers and they said, we're going to run them for 8 years. So when the market as a whole decides to dump, it's when the supply exceeds demand that prices fall. And right now, there's demand for Skylake CPUs because a large chunk of them are still in production. When all of a sudden the market gets flooded because, let's say, 3 massive data centers somewhere in North America decide we're going to upgrade, 2 wings of our thing at once, all of a sudden there's 20,000 CPUs to be had. The market goes down. It's just supply and demand. But it's not a supply and demand that we as consumers can predict because it's on corporate timeline years in advance. Hope that makes sense. For hunting used server gear, you just have to keep an ear to the ground. And sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes you see trends before they emerge, and you start snagging things. So who would have thought the DDR3 prices would have shot back up? Like a year and a half ago maybe, DDR3 you could almost get 128 gigs for $100 on eBay. Like, it was 120, I think, for 128 gigs. Now that same kit's going for like 190, 220, somewhere right in that range. DDR4 prices on the used market nearly doubled. I have a connection that I can buy DDR4 from, I'm just going to say, a supplier. Not a new supplier, but I have a source. And let's see. This is going to sound sick, but last year when I built my 32-core EPYC system, I needed a lot of DDR4 memory. And I reached out and I said, how much to get 128? I know this is going to break the bank on me. And he reached out and said, you can get 128 for this price, or you can get 256 for 430. $430 for 256 gig a DDR4 ECC registered, and at the time that was like $1,000 new. Now today it's even more new for that amount of memory, and this year my price almost doubled on the used market. It went up from 430 to I think my last batch of memory was almost $800 that I had to buy. So yeah, used server gear is a weird market. Hope that answered the question. Zero Thunet, 50 of, what is that?
I think that's Philippine pesos.
Yes, Philippine peso. You are correct. Yeah. Have we ever tried any Asian beers? I have. You've actually spent time in Japan drinking beers.
Yep. I did. Yeah, I drank every beer in Japan I could get my hands on. And let me tell you, the Sapporo that they have on store shelves in Japan is far better than the Sapporo like premium that they have in the United States. Mm-hmm. I also visited the, what is it? The Asahi brewery in Tokyo. I think it's Asahi because it's the one that looks like a big poop up in the air. If anybody Googles that image, it looks like they call it the golden poop or the golden turd because it looks like the poop emoji, which is funny. Yeah. And then speaking of Philippines, I think I've had, it's San Miguel is the brewer. I've had some San Miguel from the Philippines before, so I can't remember if it was what it was specifically, like a pale ale or a pilsner or something like that from San Miguel.
Tripic says these phone systems can't understand the New Zealand accent, and if it can't understand you, it disconnects. It took me 4 attempts.
That's not an oversight, bro.
No, that's not.
You know, I found that the worst customer service that they have, it's all like a money saving measure, because at a certain point, they're just going to assume that you give up and deal with it.
Yep. They save money on the customer facing side by not having localized, I will say, support. We'll leave it at that. They save money in the frustration from customers going, well, you know what? I have better things to do than to sit on hold with HP for 6 hours. And so I'm just going to source the part and buy it myself. I did that with Cisco one time. This is a fun story with Cisco. And why I made it my life's mission to root out every single Cisco device from every client that I ever touched. So we had, I want to say it was a 5512X. It was a Cisco smart router firewall kind of unit. Not the greatest thing in the world. It was a 4-core, 4-thread Cisco router, i3 processor, 8 gigs of RAM, but ran Cisco's OS. The power supply on it failed one day at a client location. And it's just a 1U box. It's a 1U server, x86 hardware, all standard stuff. We finally trace it to the power supply, and I open up the case, and it's just a standard ATX power supply or standard ATX plugs. It's a 24-pin and an 8-pin. And it's like, well, that's easy. We can get you back up and running today. You got any dead desktops? Because I'll just rip the power supply out of that and shuck it on top, and off we go. So we got them back up and running, and I went, I'm gonna, call Cisco as soon as we go back to the office, and we'll get this sorted. Called Cisco, and they said, I'm sorry, do you have a support plan with us? And I said, no, this firewall's like 7 years old. It's end of life, so you're not providing updates for it anymore. So why am I paying for updates? And they said, well, sorry, if you don't have a Cisco service contract, we can't help you. It's can't or won't? Won't. Okay, cool. So I called a couple of my vendor friends who had contacts within Cisco, and I found the part number that I needed for this power supply. And I said, can you get one ordered for me? And they said, yeah, no problem. It'll be like $95 or something like that. Cool, done. I mean, ATX 1U power supply, not a big deal. He calls me back the next day and says, yeah, I called Cisco and they won't sell me that power supply. Can't or won't? Won't. They won't sell me the power supply because it's still a service item within their inventory and things like that. And I'm going, it's a somewhat proprietary form factor, 1U power supply, but it's an ATX off-the-shelf power supply. It's a 24-pin and an 8-pin with a custom length on the. It pissed me off so much. I got on Alibaba and I spent 3 hours looking at white box power supplies until I found the one that they sourced, and I had it shipped to my door in 1 week for $21. I was so furious. But they got an OEM power supply back in their unit.
Another super chat coming down the pipeline. You guys are on fire. It's almost like they missed you last week or something.
I feel the love. I feel the love, you guys.
From Mike once again. Mike says, hey, thanks for the answer. Also, I just moved. I'm looking for a new job as a result, trying to find a junior system admin position. Any tips / recommendations for getting a job?
I'm gonna level with you, Mike. It's been 17 years since I've looked for a job, so I'm not sure. The last job that I applied for from an ad out of the newspaper. So while I worked in IT for a very long time, I am not up to date on job finding things. I have looked for a job since, in the interim kind of thing. I was looking to get out for a couple of years. But beyond Craigslist and like Monster and a couple other things, I never really explored that far out. I'd never even sent out a resume. So
yeah, I can't provide any insight into looking for any, sysadmin type work, but as far as getting a job, I feel like for me, the thing that has served me the best, like there's two things, and whether it's because I like my career is like all over the place. The two things are like,
now you're a video editor,
right? Yeah, exactly. It's like, who would have ever thought that I'd be here? But it's great. Like when you look at like some of the things I did, like working with craft computing, it's like, oh yeah, like, of course. But the two things that have worked really well for me are, be easy to work with and be on time, like, so. And really what that kind of equates for me is like, I'm never like really number one, and I'm not afraid to admit that I'm not the best at anything I do. And I do a lot of things. So like naturally I'm going to be sort of relegated to the sidelines sometimes, but like second best, man, like I'm there when the phone rings.
I'm in the conversation.
Like I'm in the conversation and the phone rings and like number one didn't show up, baby. I'm there. You know what I mean? Like I'm the bench player. Like, freaking Brandon Roy twisted his ankle again. Like coach is about to put me in, and I'm about to score.
Sergio, the ball's yours.
being like second, third, fourth, whatever it is, it.
No one outside of Portland gets those references.
But yeah, just like being pleasant to be around and like being able to be there when like, somebody is out sick or something, I don't know. Yeah. That's such bad advice, but it's got me everywhere. Like,
I will say, being on the hiring side, because I've hired quite a few individuals as my time as a manager, being on the hiring side of things for a tech field, there are some industries and some organizations that still put all of their reliance on, are you going to be a good hire or not, into memorization during an interview. What are the 7 layers of OSI and explain each of them in context and blah, blah, blah. Like we all know what a router is. We all know what layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4. Like you can go on that list. Memorization doesn't make me a good network engineer. Knowing how to Google things makes me a good network engineer. Knowing how to Google my specific problem, my specific error message. So I'm not expected to memorize what Active Directory error code, 0#8473449, because no one knows everything.
Yeah. I will say that's one thing that has served me really well too, especially like once I secure an interview, is being honest with what I know. And this is kind of weird.
Be honest with what you know.
This is something that I think we were talking about in the super secret after party last week, was like hiring practices and stuff like this. And be honest with what you know. I've gotten a few jobs, and when they called me and said like, hey, we were asking about like, what was the time that you messed up? And like, you were the only one that seemed to have given us an honest answer about a legitimate time that you actually like. Your answer was the only one that had like a negative in it. I was like, yeah, you asked me to tell you when I screwed up. Like, I gave you the biggest screw up I've ever had.
Yep.
Like, $1 million screw up. It doesn't get bigger than that. Not in craft computing, though. Not yet. So
not yet. Well, I got to make $1 million for you to waste it first.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you talk about mistakes that only need to be made once, Jeff. I'll never be making that mistake again.
Yeah. Like what you were saying, be honest about what you know and be honest about what you don't know. And knowing what you don't know is actually one of the better skills that you can have in IT, because overconfidence can often lead to not following best practices. It can lead to mistakes in production. It can lead to security issues. It can lead to a lot of things, thinking that you know everything. And so I want someone, when they interview, to be confident in what they know, but also humble about what they don't, and be willing to find the right answer. That was one of the main things that I've always looked for.
And nobody, like, that's the thing. Like, we might think that it's like it's exuding, it's like portraying confidence in the interview, but like nobody likes working with a know-it-all. And if you just gun it super hard on something you really don't know. What's that?
Said I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, exactly. I hate working with Jeff. Like, he's just like, I know everything all the time. You idiot. I'm like, okay. Like, what was the other one the other day? I was like, where can I tell this person to ship this thing? And you're like, are you kidding me? You idiot.
You don't know my P.O. box number at this point?
What do you want from me, Jeff? God. But yeah, you know, nobody likes those people. So
I want my slightly above minimum wage effort. That's what I want.
You get what you pay for, Jeff. By the way, we're on strike starting today. I have unionized your office.
Cool.
On to the next one.
You let me know what improvements you need to see.
I demand.
And I'll find some other schlep on the street who can fill your spot.
Somebody else's dreams to crush. I'm like the Hollywood of tech YouTube. Just here to grind you up and spit you out. Just kidding. Actually,
as underappreciated as the writers.
Yeah, exactly. Another super chat from Typicacy.
Trippic.
Damn it. Sorry, Trippic. I do that. I totally ignored the R and I was like face blind to your name. Some more Kiwi bucks. I have been answered. They are sending me the required BIOS files. Wow. Nice job.
I've told my HP story before. The quick version of my HP story was I needed a replacement part. I think I needed a backplane, a SAS backplane for a server. And so I called into HP and I got through 3 levels of support and they said, oh, no, you need the parts department. Here, let me forward you over to there. And I'm on hold for like 40 minutes and finally someone answers. And there wasn't even hold music. It was just for 40 minutes. Finally someone answers and I say, hey, I need a SAS backplane for this particular server, but I needed this orientation and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, okay, well, what server is it? Okay, here's the server model number. Here's the HP B- number. And he goes, yeah, all I'm seeing for that server is some replacement memory modules. And I went, surely there's more parts in that server than RAM. And he goes, yeah, you might want to call the repair center. They have a much larger listing of parts than we do. And I went, you're the parts department. It's literally in your name. I don't get angry on help desk calls that there support calls that often. That one set me off.
Dude, I was in a help desk call when I was dealing with the COVID vaccine dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. The people that did ours. Oh, you're cracking open your next one, or is that
cracking open the next one? Level beer, game on.
Love it. Making great beers.
I had this one a couple weeks ago on the show. I feel weird drinking it again, but it's a good beer.
It's all right. But anyway, yeah, the people running the dashboard for us over here, man, because I've had 2 last names in my life, naturally they created like 2 accounts for me, like based off of my social security number, and it caused issues scheduling my appointment, which caused all sorts. So I was on the phone for like 3 hours, and I got this lady, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. You asked me to answer these security questions, and I've answered them. Like I set them, like I know what they are. And I've answered them. And she's like, well, I can't verify that you are who you are. And I just like, I lost my mind after like 3 hours. And I was like, are you kidding? Can you escalate this call, please? You know, of course, like just being the douche that says like the stupid buzzword that sometimes works. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I was like, you have no manager? She's like, not that I'm going to let you talk to. And I was like, oh my God. And I just like, I felt so bad. I unloaded on her, and I went around, I made all these calls. I talked to like 6 other people, and every time I talked to someone, they actually helped me get closer to solving the issue. And finally I got back to her, and she's like, oh, so there actually was an issue? And I was like, yes, for God's sake. Yes. That's what I was telling you. If you could have just helped me.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh gosh. Last story, and then we'll get. Now, hold on. We'll do the super chats first.
We got super chats.
Angry Future, $5 donation. Thank you so much. SLI isn't dead. It still lives on in my dreams. Wake up. I'm sorry. From a multi-GPU enthusiast, from someone who has ran multiple GPU setups, SLI is dead. I'm sorry.
Dang. You heard it here first.
Yep. $5 donation from Scott. Thank you so much, Scott. Craft Computing. Saw you give that PC to a kid in Oregon some months back. I live in Medford. Very cool of you to do that. Wish we had a micro center. Thank you. That was super cool to be a part of. To have that whole thing come together. The crew up at Linus Tech Tips was fantastic to work with. Colin, Linus, both. I love the way the PC turned out, and Spencer was legitimately a really fun and funny guy, despite some pretty horrific circumstances that he was in. So that was a very cool thing. And cheers down in Medford.
You know, also to Jeff's credit, he was first in offering a replacement. And
I think I said that in the video. I think I said I reached out first, and then I said, well, if Linus is going to build you one, hell, go with him, because he didn't have to pay for it.
Yeah. I just think it's so funny that like, yeah, you end up getting all blocked there a little bit by Linus, like just Linus doing Linus things. But no, it worked out really good.
No, I really dig the way it turned out. He got a Ballin system. God, what did they give him? A 2080 Ti, I want to say. Yeah, and Spencer could not have been more fun to hang out with for the couple hours than we did. So
yeah, and hey, cheers to our Southern Oregon brethren. And I'm very sorry the miserable smoke conditions that you've been dealing with lately.
Yeah,
can't be easy. I had to go down there for work not that long ago, and I was like, well, I hope I don't have to come back down here till it rains.
Yeah. Let's see. Anyway, one quick story of like someone who was on an absolute power trip. So one of the clients that I was working with was a K-12, and they were receiving a donation of, I want to say it was like 50 out of service desktop PCs or something like that. And I got tasked with going in and picking up one of the loads, and so driving the truck down there and whatnot. This was 2011, maybe 2010. Anyway, we were picking them up from a Social Security office. They were clearing out all their cubicles and getting all new ones. So had an appointment, had someone that I was supposed to see, showed up there, and it's in an office building. So we walk into the office building and whatnot. And it's not like the entire building is Social Security. It's just this floor or this wing or whatever is Social Security. And so I walk up there, and talk to the receptionist and, hey, I'm so and so from here, and I'm here to meet this person. Oh yeah, she's expecting you. Hold on. And she made a quick call, and then the person I was supposed to meet walks through the door and goes, yeah, come on with me real quick. And the security guard's standing there. Whoa, hold up. Where are you going with that, son?
Oh, God.
And I have like literally like a 3-inch pocket knife on my belt. And like going, or he goes, where are you going, son? I think is how he did it. And I said, with her. Like, that's what I'm here for. And he goes, well, what's that? I said, oh, sorry, pocket knife. And he goes, what were you planning on doing with that? And the only thing I could think of to say was, well, I was going to cut a bitch. And I've used this talk a couple of times, or this example, when I'm training people, specifically help desk people. And this works for retail, and this works for a couple of other industries as well. You may have had to tell someone that pocket knives are not allowed in the building 100 times a day for the last 20 years. You know the spiel at this point. This is the first time the person that you're talking to is hearing it, though. And regardless of how comfortable with giving the spiel that you are and the jokes that you want to make and things like that, you're an asshole. And if you come across that way as an asshole, if you're working help desk, if you're working retail, if you're working customer service, support line, any kind of customer interaction thing, you're an asshole. Because I had an appointment. There's obviously someone inside the building that I'm meeting there. I'm obviously not a threat. I'm not there to rob the place. I'm there to, open the back door to load some PCs that you gave us and whatnot. And for a security guard to power trip like that because someone who's walking in to open a garage door happens to have a 3-inch pocket knife, like, is that really the battle you want to fight? He made me go down the elevator, put it back in my car before I came back up, and then went just to go ride the elevator back down to open the garage door. And the bravado and the way he came across and the demeaning, like, talking down the entire time.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so pissed. But literally all I could think of was, well, I was going to cut a bitch.
Yeah, I can't help.
He didn't think that was funny either.
Having worked in that industry so much, like whenever they overstep their bounds or anything, I cannot help but just shoot him the most sarcastic troll line of all time. Like,
and I understand it's a hard job, but my point remains valid. This is the first time, as someone walking into this building for the first time, has ever heard that line, has ever heard, hey, you have a pocket knife. That's not allowed in this building. I'm sorry, you'll need to take that out to your car. Oh, not a problem, sir. I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Instead of, what were you planning on doing with that, son?
Yeah.
And not even friendly, like aggressive banter. Yeah. So regardless of what industry you work in, if you are customer facing, remember, regardless of how many times you've had to have a conversation with someone, the person on the other end of the line, it's the first time they're hearing it.
Yeah. It's definitely not a hard job. Security is some of the easiest work I've ever done. It's very easy. He's just an idiot, which is the problem because he was probably an underpaid idiot working for some security mill that contracted with this office. Like, he's like the Paul Blart version of, except Paul Blart is nice,
Right.
Paul Blart at least like was competent at the very end of the movie. Right.
And I'm going to dig a little deeper on the psychology. It roots into like what kind of person you are.
Oh, for sure.
And like, do you need to like put me in my place, or are you there to perform your job and be nice to the public and then go home and kiss your wife?
Right.
Like what are you here for? I understand that you have a job to do, but so do I, and I'm just trying to do my job. And now I'm getting conflict where there doesn't need to be conflict.
And I'll never understand the people that can't manage to do their job in the least amount of steps. Like, if you're not supposed to bring that in, you go, hey man, I can't let you take that in.
Whoa, sorry, you got a pocket knife on you. You need to take that back down to your car. You can even say it a little bit aggressively, but as long as you're stating the rule. But what he did was he demeaned me in 3 separate sentences.
Oh, God,
leading up to the, like, wanting me to realize that I was violating some code. And it's like, I don't know the rules here. This is the first time I've ever been in this building.
Yeah.
Like...
You should have seen the sheriffs when I was trying to get into one of the courthouses. And I had this stupid, like, credit card shaped multi-tool in my wallet that I had like forgotten about, you know, and it has like a bottle opener and like a screwdriver and like oh my God, I couldn't find it in my wallet because it like gotten super hidden in all the folds. And the guy's like, I'm looking at it on the x-ray device, sir. I was like, can I just leave my wallet here? For God's sake, I got to get into this court hearing. It's just like, no, you can't leave your wallet here. I was like, I'll take all the good stuff out. I was like, I could take my credit cards. I'll take my license. Like,
you can have the wallet.
I was like, for God's sake, I'm just about to throw it away. And he's like, whatever you got to do, man. But if it goes through the machine and there's a freaking sharp multi-tool in it, you're not coming in with it. So I'm just like taking everything out of my wallet in the middle of this busy courtroom or in the lobby of it. I'm like, whatever. And I just threw my wallet in the trash and put everything in my pocket.
Were you with me, or was this, I think it was with you, where I left a screwdriver multi-tool in my backpack in the airport.
Yeah. And we were like rushed back. Like we had gone through security.
No. That was the second time. That was for batteries.
Oh yeah. The batteries.
Yeah. That was leaving Vegas. No, going to Vegas. We were in PDX, Portland Airport. And, in my laptop bag, I keep a multi-bit screwdriver.
Naturally.
As most people do. Like, if you're in the industry that I'm in, you carry a multi-tool. And mine is just a screwdriver. It's a screwdriver with replaceable tips. And the rule on the planes is it can only be up to 6.5 inches long when fully assembled and whatnot. Mine was like 6.7 inches long. And so they're literally like opening the drawer, and there's like this laminated paper ruler on the top of one of their desk drawers, and they're holding up the screwdriver and the bit on it. And sorry, it wasn't even that. It can only be 6.5 inches long before it's assembled. It can be whatever length you want once it's assembled. But if the main body of the tool is more than 6 or something inches long, then it's contraband. And so I had a screwdriver, and the screwdriver had like a large blue handle on it, and then it had the chuck for the tool end, and that was steel, and then with a magnet in the bottom, and then the tool pieces were about this long, the bits that went on top. And the tool handle with the chuck on it happened to be like 0.1 inches over the limit. And so again, people like Authority Trip or whatever else took the screwdriver out of my bag, and they're measuring it on this laminated paper ruler taped to the top of a desk, because apparently tape measures are also not allowed in airports. And she's going, I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to let you through with that. And I went, 1/4 inch less, and it wouldn't have been a question. Like,
yeah.
Why?
Yeah. That's what's crazy.
Let alone that when I put the full like the bits for that thing were long. They were like 3.5 inches long. That was a 9-inch blade when it was all assembled.
Yeah.
But because the handle was more than 6.5, nope. Sorry, I can't have that.
They're, like
6.4 laptop technician. 6.5 terrorist.
There is I don't know. Anyway, it's like Captain Picard said, Jeff, that life is an exercise in making exceptions, right? I mean, this is really a good place for the spirit of the rules to apply.
Yes.
And the spirit of the rules is, I don't know, man. It looks like
if you've ever ran into someone in a position of authority who is overstepping their bounds or exercising the only power they have in their lives, you will also know you can do everything right and still lose.
Exactly. Wow. Pulling out another quote.
Because I know more than you.
Well, your quote is actually like one of my favorite Picard quotes.
Yes.
The exceptions one, that's like my second favorite Picard quote. So
I had actually forgotten about the exception one, so thank you for reminding me about that one. But no, you can do everything right and still lose. That's my number one Picard quote. Okay, let's see. We have a sponsor that I completely forgot to get to. Hold on.
Let me get out my Kindle.
Yeah.
Read the script again.
Pay no attention. I'm stalling for time. All right. Today's video is brought to you by Linode. If you've ever needed to host your own servers, whether it be for home or business use, but don't have the resources or time to invest into hardware, power, cooling, or even space, why not let Linode host them for you? If it runs on Linux, it'll run on Linode. That includes the software from most of the tutorials on my channel, Rhett, like how to run your own ad blocking recursive DNS server, VPN gateways, or your own cloud-based Plex server, and more. I know Rhett nailed that one the first time last week. Linode makes it simple to deploy and manage your own cloud services, with solutions ranging from a single shared CPU to massive multi-core virtual machines. They even offer dedicated RTX 6000 GPUs for graphic rendering or machine learning. With shared CPU plans starting at as little as $5 per month and scaling up to as high as you need to go, you'll be able to find a hosting plan that fits your needs. Even if you do host your own servers, you can use Linode to keep a backup off-site, because remember, RAID is not a backup. Visit linode.com/craftcomputing and get a $100 60-day credit just for signing up for a new account, and get your home lab or business account started today. That's linode.com/craftcomputing, and thanks again to Linode for sponsoring today's episode.
Thanks, Linode.
Thank you, Linode. I heart Linode. You would think at this point, since I always stumble over the cloud-based Plex server, that I would just rewrite it, because I wrote the damn ad. It's those double L's that get me every time. Cloud-based Plex server.
It's all right. Not everybody can be as good at reading copy as I am.
That's true. Well, I always fall into the pitfall of I read a little bit too fast. And if I just slowed down a quarter tick, like not even a full tick.
It's all about taking the time to let it breathe, baby.
Yep.
AV asks, ever try Mountain Dew and whiskey?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Trivia fact, Mountain Dew was originally a whiskey mixer.
Ooh, see, there you go.
Mountain Dew comes from moonshine.
And Trippic over here wanted us to delete it.
Yeah. Don't worry. I'm going to say bad things about it. But there's history behind this. Mountain Dew was originally a mixer for moonshine. Thus the name Mountain Dew. It has its roots in moonshine XXX jugs. Like, it's what it was.
Like my family used to make.
Yeah. So there was actually a limited release a number of years ago that was, I think they called it Dewshine, where this was actually a product by Mountain Dew that they pretty much went back to as close to the original recipe as they could. And I tried that with whiskey, and gosh dang it if it wasn't freaking good.
Well, gosh darn it if it wasn't the finest thing that I ever tasted on this side of the Mississippi.
Right? Like, straight out of the Appalachians, it was good. So yes, I've done Mountain Dew and whiskey. My wife prefers Mountain Dew and Malibu rum. That's another good one.
Yeah, it's not a bad one.
I can't say that I'm too excited about this Coors and Mountain Dew collaboration, though. And that is Boston Beer, excuse me, Sam Adams. Sam Adams, of Sam Adams fame. are collaborating to create a Mountain Dew alcoholic drink. This is a 0-calorie, 0 sugar alcoholic drink, likely a malt beverage, 5% alcohol. So you remember back to like your freshman year when you mixed like Diet Mountain Dew and Everclear?
No, I never did that.
Those are the kind of vibes I'm feeling right now. There might be someone out there in chat who knows exactly what I'm talking about. I'm pointing at one person in particular when I say that. But yeah, this is essentially a Diet Mountain Dew and grain alcohol.
Yeah.
With a hint of cherry flavor.
I really do love that the transition to this story was just like completely organic. Like somebody brought it up.
It was
like
great.
I know it was.
So there are going to be 3 flavors: original Mountain Dew, black cherry, and watermelon.
Nice.
They'll be available this fall from select retailers, coming out in October.
They missed a real opportunity to go for, original Mountain Dew flavor, then Code Red flavor, live wire flavor. Right. Like, why didn't they just lean into the branding?
I think they're trying to flirt that line of being a recognizable
probably a good point.
Name while not appealing to the kids.
Yeah.
So my jazz band in high school was sponsored by Code Red Mountain Dew. Yes. We were a jazz variety band, and we got a Code Red sponsorship. We got cases upon cases of Code Red delivered to the band room, and shirts and everything else, because we had named our band Code Red. And this was before Code Red came out. And so when Code Red came out, the local Pepsi plant heard about it, and they said, oh, let's just send them a bunch of merch. And so, yeah, I was sponsored by Code Red at one point.
That's cool.
It was just the local Pepsi bottling plant and whatnot. But
yeah,
I had Code Red merch and as much Code Red as I wanted to drink as like a sophomore in high school. Like, it was fantastic.
Yeah. See, it is kind of interesting because, yeah, I don't know. I used to love Mountain Dew. Like, Mountain Dew is like my preferred soft drink, right? Like my preferred pop. But I've never been a fan of any of the offshoots of it. I've never been a fan, like when the whole energy drink thing was kicking off and they got on board with Amp. Like, I never liked Amp or whatever they had. So this isn't for me. I'm not interested in really getting out there and trying this. And, kudos to, I guess, the Boston Beer Company for trying. But it's also kind of funny because the seltzer market has sort of been like going down lately. Like, I think me and John talked about it briefly last week, that like there's so many iterations of like hard seltzer and all this sort of stuff, like, and all of a sudden, boom, like you're watching the stocks and they're just like falling day after day. And I don't know, good timing or not, maybe not. I kind of think the hard seltzer market is way oversaturated. But who knows? Maybe the beer market's oversaturated too. So I just don't think you can have that much like variety with hard seltzer. But they're going to prove me wrong, and I hope they do.
I hope they do, because I've had some really good hard seltzers. I've had some really bad hard seltzers. What's funny is I actually picked up the Kirkland variety pack about a month ago, because I'm like, you know what? Just something to have around the house in the summer. You can pour it over ice, and I can still have a nice, refreshing drink. You can't go wrong with
Kirkland. It's so good.
What's really funny is I looked at the flavors, and it was black cherry, grapefruit, mango, and lime. Those are the 4 flavors that come in the pack. And of all those flavors, I went, lime's going to be that's going to be my go-to. Like I'm a sucker for lime. Mango, grapefruit a little more, and then black cherry, I'm like kind of middle of the road. Lime was my least favorite flavor out of the pack.
Interesting. Yeah.
The grapefruit, freaking fantastic.
Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, it really does depend. Yeah, Kirkland does great stuff. I actually really kind of even enjoy buying like Kirkland beer. Like if you just need a bunch of cheap beer,
Yeah.
something cold to drink, like it does just as well as like Coors Original or whatever you might want to drink. So
I'll go like 10-barrel pub beer. That's usually like
Yeah.
I need a case for really cheap.
right, exactly. Yeah.
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 Which is just a lager, but it's a
But it's good.
5% better lager.
Yeah. I like pub beer. I like Red Can. Red Can's another
Mhm.
one of those. It's pretty solid. Michael says, or no, sorry, not Michael. Somebody brought up balls, the old
yeah.
energy drink.
Yeah, they were saying you can still buy balls. It's still around.
Yeah.
In fact, I almost bought a couple of bottles when I was on vacation. It was in a Fred Meyer Kroger.
When I was in high school, our local LAN party was a big deal. It had sponsorships and everything, and Balls was one of the primary sponsors year in, year out.
If there's a LAN party, Balls will sponsor it.
Yeah.
Balls was one of the primary sponsors at QuakeCon, and
Yeah.
they would make runs around the floor with hand trucks full of cases of balls and just start handing them out.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, everybody just drinking balls, staying
Yep.
up, playing.
Micro Center carries balls. Fry's here locally used to carry balls. That's where I used to buy it all the time. Obviously, I can't get it there anymore because I can't even get in the door now. No, Kroger recently started carrying balls in my local area. So
Nice.
I can finally get that. That's really the only energy drink I will ever drink is balls.
Oof. I got my Rockstar sugar free Vice just
See, I can't even do that. I can't do that.
I used to hate it, and I don't know what it was, man, but there's this convenience store out in the middle of nowhere out in our area, and they hand make these breakfast burritos every morning. And I used to have to go out to work like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd stop by, fresh breakfast burrito and a sugar-free Rockstar dude with those cheap salsa packets, man. And I would get to work. There's nothing to do. So I'd open up my laptop and I'd watch my shows. Eating this burrito with oh God, my mouth is watering just thinking about it.
Do you remember San Diego Taco Company?
No.
They were a local chain. They only had like 4 or 5 stores around here. They had one in Canby. They had another one in Salem. You know where the Applebee's is in Salem, the North Salem, right by Kaiser. They used to have a San Diego Taco in that parking lot.
Oh.
I think the barbecue place that's there used to be a San Diego Taco.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So it was that place. They made breakfast burritos like the size of my arm, like the meat of my arm right here. That was the breakfast burrito.
Oh yeah.
And it was $5.
Oof.
And oh God, it was good. Like 3,000 calories, but
so good.
So good. And $5. And so I used to get those all the time.
That's like back in the day, man. You used to go to like Alberto's up there in North Salem.
Oh yeah.
And dude, they got that Oregon burrito. And at the time it was like you could get it for like $1.75 or something like that. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. Any more muchos gracias is my big taco.
Yeah. Alberto's is basically like the muchos gracias. It's like a muchos like knockoff, I guess. But yeah. Well, now anymore, the Oregon burritos though, they're like $5. Like now, you used to like $5, $6.75. Man, it was worth like scrounging up change from your couch. I'd drive all the way out there just to get some. Like it was the best.
Samesies. Yep.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie though. This breakfast burrito I'm talking about, it was a tiny little thing. It was so tiny, but you learn to savor every bite.
Mm-hmm.
And I developed this like perfect technique to get every single drop out of the salsa packets because they would only give you 2 salsa packets.
Yeah.
Never anymore. And so I'd spread the tinfoil out on my desk super flat and I put the salsa on there, man. And you just dip the burrito as you eat it. Oh, God. I'm going there right now. Anyway, I'm signing off. See ya.
Yeah. I used to do that with the McDonald's breakfast burritos, but one weird thing about the McDonald's is they vary the price so much from location to location on the breakfast burritos.
Yep.
There's stores up further north where you can get them for 50 cents a pop. Down by me, it's $1.79.
Yeah.
Each. Like
for me, it's literally $2 at my store here.
Yeah. Like I can get 4 or I can get one.
Yeah.
It's kind of the price swing.
I've never noticed the price differential in fast food restaurants more than just recently. Like moving from where I was to where I am now, like everything's more expensive. Even the Taco Bell, dude. Like,
you know where I live too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's just like, dude, the Taco Bell here, the cheapest thing on the menu is like $3.
Yeah. You enter my neighborhood, you increase the price by like 25% minimum.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Anyway. So try some Pep Mountain Dew hard seltzer. That's all to say that.
Earlier this week, gosh, this was yesterday, Goose Island announced their 2021 lineup of Bourbon County Stouts. And I'm gonna sneeze.
Come on, man. Get it together.
Oh, I know. Gosh. On vacation for a week and everything's gone to crap.
Oof.
I'm good. They usually come in threes. I think I only got two that time.
We'll see about that.
I think I'm all right. Hold on. I can feel it like in the back of my nose.
Look at the light. Look at the light.
There are 4 lights. Sorry.
Wrong.
Goose Island. Goose Island announced their 2021 lineup of Bourbon County beers yesterday. And I will say, I agree with John slightly on this one. They subbed in a cola-flavored beer, but no barley wine? What the crap is going on over there? What in the Budweiser hell?
They're just trying new things.
Yeah. I will say, I'm not disappointed with the lineup, but I'm disappointed with the decision. Anyway, the new lineup consists of the original Bourbon County Stout, which usually comes in around 12.5%. This year, it is going to be 14.1. It's a little bit of a heavy hitter this year. This will be blended from a mix of Heaven Hill, Wild Turkey, and Buffalo Trace bourbon barrels, and has their original stout. Then we've got the Bourbon County Cherrywood Stout. For the first time, it will be toasted with honeycomb-shaped cherrywood chips. Said they will impart a noticeable difference from the base by adding ripe fruit, ripe cherry, and light toffee. Not quite sure what I think about that one. There's the Bourbon County Reserve 150, which is aged in Old Forester's 150th anniversary barrels. That sounds delicious. Bourbon County Double Barrel Toasted Stout. Now, this one is a little interesting because last year they came out with a stout that was aged in Elijah Craig barrels, and they called it, I think it was the Toasted Stout. This time, it's the same stout that they brewed last year, but they aged it in another set of Elijah Craig barrels for another year. So thus the Double Barrel Toasted Stout. This one I am so looking forward to getting my hands on. By the way, if anyone's in the Chicago area, because Oregon's been kind of swing and a miss the last year and a half for bourbon counties. There's the Blanton Stout, which is obviously aged for 18 months in Blanton's original single barrel bourbon. So that should be a pretty interesting one. Rich dark chocolate and oak notes, finished with a clove, nutmeg, and cinnamon flavor. And now we come to the interesting selection, and that is the Bourbon County Classic Cola Stout. This is the spiritual sibling to last year's Kentucky Fog, which was made with Earl Grey tea. However, spiritual sibling I'm a little confused by, because cola is certainly not tea. Although I was a pretty big fan of the Kentucky Fog. Goose described it as a whiskey cola with lime, orange juice, and zest, plus coriander, cassia bark, nutmeg, brown sugar, and vanilla. Which, that kind of checks all my boxes as far as what I look for when I think like a whiskey-heavy drink. So, I'm kind of looking forward to it, but I'm also a little bit nervous about that one. There's also the 14 Stout, which is a throwback to the 2014 Chicago-only proprietor stout.
Yeah.
which I haven't had the 14 proprietors. I think I had the 17 proprietors. I think that's the only proprietors I've ever had.
Well, here's your chance to have the 14.
Here's my chance to have the 14, right? So it's the same recipe as the 2014 proprietor stout. But this one will be not Chicago only as the proprietors normally is. And then there's also the proprietors Bourbon County Stout, which is their special blend, which is only available in the Chicago area. So once again, all my Chicago homies, I will reciprocate with something that you can't get there. So
expect to be reminded of shortcake with, quote, layered with vanilla and topped off with the slight fruitiness of strawberries.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah, last year was
making my mouth water.
Last year was the strawberry ice cream. So yeah, I'm as much as I dig strawberry ice cream, give me some strawberry shortcake. Like, holy crap. So there you have it, the 2021 Bourbon County Stout. Please drink responsibly. Moving into our last story of the day. I'm going to put this one with a little bit of a disclaimer. With all that's going on with Blizzard Activision, let's just say I'm less than enthused about the company. I do think this particular story is newsworthy, and that's why we're talking about it, but I'm certainly not trying to draw attention in a positive way to Blizzard Activision, because they got some stuff to deal with. They
Do they? Why? What's been going on?
Oh, just boys being boys.
Just locker room talk,
Just boy talk,
Look, it's just a cube crawl. Oh God, let's not even go there.
Don't
screw them. No. Screw Blizzard. They don't need positive press.
And the horse they came in on.
This story certainly is not going to give them positive press. So
no. So Diablo II Resurrection, the Diablo II from the ground up remaster, because they lost the source code to the original Diablo II. The Diablo II remaster is going into closed beta on the 13th and open beta on August 20th. Now, back in 1997, this was kind of my jam. I played a lot of Diablo 2. A lot of LAN games, a lot of single player games, some early BattleNet games. I did a lot of Diablo 2. As such, I was pretty much a day one pre-order for Diablo 2 Resurrection, because I was kind of looking to rekindle some of that LAN party kind of stuff. My daughter's getting to an age where she's interested in like Torchlight, and like, you know what? Let's just go full bore. Let's just, why start off light? Just go to Diablo. So I was kind of thinking, like, if I get a couple of copies of this, we can host our own perpetual server here, and we can play Diablo 2 on the LAN, maybe with the cloud gaming server, and have some fun. But the one feature that I kind of pre-ordered for, I mean, I probably would have pre-ordered anyway, was that Blizzard confirmed that there would be LAN games and LAN servers and private servers available. You could do that as an option in the game. You didn't have to get online. You didn't have to get on BattleNet. You didn't have to get hounded to purchase all the thousands of microtransactions and skin upgrades and things like that. Like, you can host your own private server, and you can kind of stay to yourself. And I'm sorry, but that's how I like to play games these days. I don't have the time for a 13-year-old to tell me what he did with my mother, who is approaching geriatrics. Like, I just don't have time for that. And I was excited.
He sounds so charming, though.
He does. Go get her. But I was looking forward to LAN games. I was looking forward to self-hosted LAN games again, because we get so few of that these days. And I pre-ordered, and I wanted the early access beta. I wanted to give it a shot. And in a very quiet update, Blizzard has said we are no longer going to implement LAN games because, quote, there's a security issue and we just won't fix it. Security issue.
Which is...
I think the security issue is they won't have direct access to my credit card and the chance to advertise microtransactions. I'm pretty sure that's the security issue.
Here's the perfect workaround. And hear me out. You can still just play Diablo II.
Right. And and I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to do. And not only in light of no LAN play, but other happenings around the Blizzard Activision campus, I'm going to be canceling my pre-order because, yeah.
Yeah.
At the moment, I really don't feel like giving them my money.
No. And yeah, this whole story really does feel like just a cheap veil for the truth, which is, they just can't keep their thumb on the pulse of your pocketbook.
Right. How can we keep charging you money and getting you to pay us $1 every day for some, superfluous skin or whatever, horse armor, as it were, when you are just able to host your own server and possibly mod it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. That's what's crazy. Actually, like, my buddy, my next door neighbor here, he's been playing a perpetual Diablo 2 character like since launch, and he's just like hung on to it, and he plays all the time. And apparently, like, what blows my mind a little bit is that there are drops that are so rare that there are some that still haven't been collected by anyone, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
They have like a 1 in 1 trillion chance of dropping or something stupid. So, there's still content in Diablo 2 that needs to be mined, before y'all move on to the remaster, the remake. So, get out there.
I say all of you go do that. And until we have completed Diablo 2 in its entirety, I don't think a single person should play the new one.
Yeah, exactly. What a great idea. We just solved this problem. Nailed it.
There we go.
And if you guys need a primer, on my game dev podcast, I interviewed the composer for Diablo 1 and 2, Matt Yeoman, and he was joined by the senior producer for Diablo 1 and 2, Matt Householder. It was a fun little podcast interview we did up at Portland Retro Gaming Expo, live from the floor. And they did mostly all of the talking, and we did very little question asking. It was great. They were fun guys to hang out with.
Very cool. By the way, that was Game Dev's Quest.
Oh yeah,
for the podcast. If you want to go listen to it,
it's out there.
Yep. GameDevsQuest.com, or follow Rhett on Twitter at GameDevsQuest or at Rhett is awesome. If you feel like getting political.
Yeah. What? Me? Surely not.
No.
The world's not political enough for me to tweet about, Jeff.
Today's Wednesday, right?
Guys, it's good politics, not stupid politics. Okay.
It's true. Blizz should have stopped Blizz stopped being a company one should support back in the early days of Diablo 3. Yeah.
Probably.
You're not wrong. What have they made since then? Overwatch?
Yeah.
I mean, like, gross human misconduct aside, as a consumer, what have they done since Diablo 3?
I mean, they really actually, like, what was the last? I mean, Overwatch, I guess, is like kind of a newish IP.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what? I can't think of any like IPs that they've made. Like, they're rehashing Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm. That's Activision.
Well, Activision Blizzard, though.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Right. Yeah. They're still the same company.
But, yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, the list of canceled games still pains me because StarCraft Ghost is on that list. Let's see. Oh, the Diablo mobile game, right? Hearthstone,
Yeah, you guys have
the
phones,
card game.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, but Hearthstone is not a new IP
it's not a new IP.
because it's like technically,
It's
right? Like, isn't it part of
Hearthstone is World of Warcraft.
how would that? Yeah, right. So technically, that's not an IP because it's Warcraft. Or
Diablo.
am I just getting super nitpicky?
So here, let's count back in time. Okay.
Okay.
So we have Diablo Immortal, which was announced, not released yet. Okay. 2022 is the expected launch date. We have Overwatch that was launched in 2016. Okay. Free to play game.
Yeah.
Heroes
it's
of
not free to play.
Overwatch? Oh no, that's right. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. Sorry, I got it mixed up with
Yeah, all those other games are. Not
all
Blizzard,
the other
though.
battle royale free to play
Yeah.
games. Not Blizzard. No, you need to spend $30 first. Heroes of the Storm, 2015.
Yeah, which is all right, I guess.
Hearthstone, 2014. Diablo 3, 2012.
Yeah. I bought Diablo 3 and literally never played it once. I was so excited to play it, and I just never did.
Yep. And remember how StarCraft was supposed to be a trilogy? Well, it eventually was a trilogy because Wings of Liberty came out first, the single-player campaign.
Yeah.
But you got the entire multiplayer campaign at the same time, which
Yeah.
is really where they put all their effort because the single-player campaign sucked. And they did come out with Heart of the Swarm in 2013 and Legacy of the Void in 2015. So to their credit, they did complete the trilogy. It just took them 5 years to do it from the same game.
Yeah, I don't even think like that's just like the money grab, right? Like
Yeah.
you like
That's just 3 campaigns from literally the same executable.
Yeah, here's the Terran side, here's the Zerg side, here's the Proto. Like yeah, you could play the full game and everything from the very get-go. In each game, I guess there was like some new units and stuff, but it's just glorified DLC, you know, like
before Wings of Liberty, before StarCraft 2 in 2010, the last release was World of Warcraft in 2004.
Yeah, not surprised.
Yep.
Not surprised at all. Like, and then even then before that, they have, you know, Diablo and Warcraft.
Their last new IP, Diablo 1997.
Yeah, sounds about right.
That's it. Yep.
Blizzard at least published a lot of cool games. Like, I don't know how much they were involved in it, but like, you know, the earliest time I can recall seeing their logo was for a fun Sega Genesis game I used to play called Rock and Roll Racing.
Oh, Rock and Roll Racing, yes.
Yeah,
I was going to say Blackthorn.
I don't remember Blackthorn.
Oh, Blackthorn was legit. So technically, Rock and Roll Racing was under a different name. They were Silicon and Synapse.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, that might have been. I wonder if that's who like developed it, and then Blizzard maybe just published it or something.
No, Blizzard themselves were Silicon and Synapse. That was the name of their company up until 1994, with the release of The Death and Return of Superman, Blackthorn, and Warcraft.
Interesting.
They released 3 games in 1994, and they've released 12 games since.
Wild stuff.
Yep.
Oh yeah, so I guess it probably would have said that because I guess Rock and Roll Racing originally released on the SNES, and I played it on the Sega Genesis later on.
Yeah,
so that's probably why I saw the Blizzard logo later on, because it would have been a couple years later, I think.
Might have been, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Can't see anything about it on Wikipedia very quickly. Sorry. What a great soundtrack, though. Rock and roll, baby.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Okay. I think that's enough Blizzard talk.
Yeah. Screw them.
And the horse they came in on. Let's see. We got 15, 20 minutes. We're out of news. We can speculate on Lower Decks Season 2. I know there's going to be...
I haven't even watched Lower Decks Season 1. But you can speculate on it.
Dude. Dude,
Where can I watch it?
I have sources.
Oh, all right. We'll talk.
Talk later. I have sources. Yeah, no, we'll get you watching that because I think that's required watching for co-host of the show.
I know. I know. I haven't even finished Picard. I know.
You know,
I know.
Picard was pretty good. I genuinely liked Picard. It has its flaws. Definitely
Sure.
has its flaws.
All of them do, though. You know,
but
like,
nothing's perfect.
no.
Except the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
What a great film trilogy.
Yes.
Followed up by the legendary, impeccable, non-impeachable The Hobbit. So good. Love it. Give me.
You're talking
dwarves.
the Tolkien cut of The Hobbit, right? Where they like literally delete Legolas from everything.
Sure. I don't know. They're both good, I guess. The Jackson cut and the Tolkien cut.
Oof.
Dude, give me dwarves feasting at a hobbit's house. Like that could
That
be
was
a
pretty
show.
good. That was pretty good.
Dude, the whole first half of the Hobbit movie is just amazing. I love it. I don't even care. I'm an unabashed. I watch it like holds up.
Oh, let's see. I had a thought and then I lost it. I'll get it back.
Lower Decks season 2.
Lower Decks season 2.
Lord of the Rings.
Picard was okay.
You're
Lord of the
fired.
Rings,
No.
It's gone.
All right. Well, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I basically have to stop from scratching my eyeballs out when I forget.
I know what I needed to announce. Hold on. On September 8th. Do you know what's happening September 8th, Rhett?
Oh, I think I might have an idea.
Might have an idea. You got it blacked out in your calendar?
I hope so.
September 8th. For anyone in, we'll say, like the greater Salem and Portland area. That happens to be the night of episode 200 of Talking Heads. As such, we wanted to celebrate a little bit. So we will be broadcasting live from Santiam Brewing in Salem, Oregon. If anyone wants to come and watch live and have a beer with us and reminisce about the last 4 years, because
no heckling.
It's almost been 4 years. So yes, broadcasting live, Santiam Brewing, Salem, Oregon, on September 8th, Wednesday night.
It is a Wednesday. Now, also, if you're from Oregon, you know this. But let's say you're just from right across the northern border. Oregon today went back to mask mandate. So make sure you bring your mask because we will be indoors. They do have a beautiful outdoor seating section, though, if that's what you want to do.
They do. Yep.
But don't forget, don't leave that behind because that's the thing again. Excited to be back to that.
Yay. Because no one could put them on the first time.
Yeah. Remember how great the first 6 weeks of the summer were? Just
wonderful.
It was oh my gosh.
One of my really good friends 3 days ago found out that she was one of the breakthrough cases. She's fully vaccinated and caught the Delta variant and caught COVID. Yay.
Not fun.
Yeah.
And it sounds like there's the potential we may be seeing more of that, everybody. So keep yourselves safe.
Yep.
Mask up.
Yep.
Get vaccinated if you can.
What kind of live cast doesn't allow heckling? You know what? You can heckle. Just keep it to a minimum because I will kick you out. It's like a comedy
heckling.
show. Yeah.
Well, comedy shows, Jeff, they tell you no heckling.
Right.
And if they're really good, the comic might go back and forth with you for a minute or two, but then they're going to be like, yo, now it's time to shut the F up. It's my show.
Yeah.
Some of them don't have tact after 3 volleys.
Yeah.
They're just okay, buddy.
Yep. 3, 2, 1.
Dude, exactly. Some people are really good at it. After watching Inside, I went and watched a bunch of videos of Bo Burnham dealing with hecklers.
Yeah.
Dude, he is just like savage when it comes to handling him.
God.
Like he just murders some hecklers
He,
sometimes.
he did this one. Gosh, he said we'll say fairly offensive word towards women in the context of a joke, and someone went woo, and he goes, "It wasn't a roll call."
Yeah, I love that.
It's one of my favorite
He's
ones.
so fast. And then he had this drunk guy get up in one of the ones I was watching, and he's like, no, come on stage. No, we're doing this. And he sits there and like roasts the guy. And the guy says something and he goes, no, well, that's because I'm the professional and you're the drunk guy ruining my show. Now go ahead and get off stage. Steve, that's the security guy. Steve, yeah, you're fired, buddy. This is the living embodiment of you not doing your job.
That's great. Yeah, no one says it better than Steve Hofstetter.
Dude, he's made his whole career off of roasting hecklers.
He really has. Now he's legitimately a great comic in his own right, but he really got famous because of his heckle clips on YouTube, and there's this great spiel that he's given a couple of times of if you think you have some ideas for jokes, tell me after the show, or even better, don't, because I'm funnier than you.
Exactly.
And he goes, and for those who want to heckle, also don't, because I'm paid to be witty for a living. You wouldn't walk up to Muhammad Ali and
I don't know, man. There are some YouTubers who like to fight professional boxers for some reason.
Logan Paul v Steve Hofstetter.
Yeah.
I just want to watch the boxing match.
We do have a super chat.
We do. Andrew, $5. Thank you so much, Andrew. Have you watched Carnival Row? I have not.
I've watched it. It's really good.
Oh, but you haven't seen Lower Decks?
No, because I don't have access to Lower Decks, but I have access to Carnival Row.
Okay.
Carnival Row. It's a brilliant, gritty, Lovecraftian fantasy, very dark. Imagine Industrial Revolution meets dark fantasy. Yeah, it's basically kind of like a steampunk that takes place in like a fictional like steampunk London.
Nice.
And there are humans and there are like fae creatures, and they're like relegated to this like refugee section of the city called Carnival Row, and it's kind of like a pseudo detective story mixed in with like kind of this industrial steampunk thing. It's really good. It's really interesting. Freaking Orlando Bloom is in it, which I'm sure is why it came up. And Orlando Bloom, like, name a bad thing he's done. Exactly.
The Hobbit.
He was fantastic in The Hobbit. Like, Legolas maybe shouldn't have been in it, but Orlando Bloom was great.
Okay. You know, you say name something that's not fantastic that he's done. And while he did the best that he could with the material given, if polish a turd, it's still a turd.
Did I say name something fantastic or did I say name something he wasn't fantastic in? Roll the tapes.
You know, I'm sure you said that he wasn't fantastic in, which, yes, he was still Legolas in that, kinda, but he was this weird adolescent love-struck love triangle Legolas who's not the Legolas from Lord of the Rings. No,
because he still had to grow into, he had like several decades until the Lord of the Rings.
Right. Yeah. Weird, you know, living your first 150 and then growing into a man at 190. Like,
no, it's not that he grew into a man. Really, the character development of Legolas can be tracked by his friendship and relationship with Gimli. So you could almost argue that The Hobbit is sort of this trajectory.
I hate dwarves. They're coarse and irritating, and they get everywhere.
That's a bad amalgamation. That's a bad mixture of fandoms.
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, it was funny. I laughed.
Thank you.
I've been seeing a meme going around lately on Twitter that always makes me laugh, where, you know, they put the One Ring down on the pedestal at the Council of Elrond, you know, and he's like, you know, Gimli's like, enough talk with this. let's just destroy it and be done. And he stands up with his axe and he shatters his axe down on the thing, and it breaks into a bunch of pieces and zooms in. The ring's fine, and it cannot be destroyed unless it's cast into the fires of Mount Doom. And then literally like 5 minutes later, he's like, you have my axe. It's like, bro, you just broke your axe on that thing. You have no axe to give.
You have my other axe.
You have my second axe. It's not as good.
Yes.
I don't know. It was
my older brother's. He died. It's got a chip in it, but it's better than the broken one. You can have that one.
Honestly, at least this one's, I can still swing it. It's good, It's an axe.
It's a fine axe. It's not great, but fine.
Ask me a question. Huh? I'll be here all night.
It still only counts as one axe.
Classic. Now, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, fantastic. Unimpeachable.
Gimli's oft axe. Thank you, Harley.
Yeah, Steve, World Peas is backing me up. Legolas didn't grow into a man. He grew into an elf. Thank you. Exactly.
Red is doing his Sean Connery impression.
Strangely enough, Sean Connery turned down a role in Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
Which is how he got into League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yep.
Because he was like, all right, next thing I don't understand, I'm just going to take it.
Yep. Last movie he ever did, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Because it was unfortunately not that great.
You know what? My wife loves that movie. And I have a soft spot for that one, honestly. Like as some of the early comic book, like it wasn't Spider-Man, but it was like the next, we need to do something. So you had that, you had Hellboy, you had what were some of the other ones? I mean, there was there were some really bad DC ones. Elektra and
there was like even Brad Pitt or not Brad Pitt, the other one. He did like a Daredevil.
Yeah, Daredevil. Yeah. So there were some awful super movie heroes in those days, and I have to say, Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, fantastic movies, and then League was probably the next one there.
I mean, after X-Men.
I mean, you have the original X-Men movies, X1, X2, X3. Yeah, but
exactly.
It's in the conversation, right? To bring us back around there.
Here's the thing: I'm teasing the movie, but between us, I'm the one that likes, campy movies. You know what I mean? I'm the one that's judging League of Extraordinary Gentlemen based on the criteria that it's set for itself. And
name something that Sean Connery has been in that he has not been fantastic.
Oh, exactly, though. I love Sean Connery. I'm going to go to bat for him. No, I love League. I did a podcast for years, and you guys can still look it up if you want. It's called Cineman, like cinema, but with an N at the very end. Mm-hmm. And one of the movies that we didn't review movies. Our gimmick was we would just put on campy B movies in the background and we would talk, but we actually talked a lot about League. Specifically because, my co-host likes cars. Of course, they have a very unique car that they actually made for that film in there, and lots of things. So, and we love Sean Connery because we love James Bond and Highlander, which we also did Highlander in that movie series as well, that podcast series as well. But yeah, no, I like League. And also I'm the one here that likes campy movies. So back off, okay?
Who said I didn't like campy movies?
Back off. You don't like The Hobbit, bro.
The Hobbit's not campy. It's just bad.
It's campy if you just turn your
There are campy parts to it, but it tells a terrible story.
Oh, get out of here. This guy's defending League, but knocking on The Hobbit, okay?
That's They're darn both right. Great films. You know where I stand.
They're both great films. Get out of here. Just get. Go on.
You kicking me off my show?
Dude, you know what's a great Sean Connery movie? Dragonheart. What a good movie.
I actually kind of like Dragonheart.
Dragonheart is good. I'm not.
It's good. It's a good movie. Yes. Yeah. No, it's a good movie. It's not a great movie, but it's a good movie.
Dude, it holds up.
I thought you were going to go Aragorn on me.
What?
Aragorn, the movie?
There was a movie?
Yes.
Oh, I've never seen that.
You've never seen it? Oh, yeah. It was bad. It was bad.
I'll take your word for it.
Aragon.
He wasn't in that, though.
No, he wasn't in that.
Okay. Yeah,
But
Aragon. Yeah, Aragon. Now, you want to talk about, I love the books. Although I've only read the first 3. Apparently there's a 4th. But the first Aragon book, like, I loved that. They came out when I was in, like middle school or something. It just like blew my mind, opened up the whole world of fantasy to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie, what an utter disappointment, man. And you've got like freaking Jeremy Irons in that movie. There was another big actor too. I can't even remember. They wasted him.
As Andrew says, Sean Connery and Catherine Zeta-Jones in Entrapment. Such a
great film. Great film. Dude, you know what other dragon movie holds up? Oh my God, Reign of Fire. That's on Netflix.
Oh, yes,
dude. All-star cast. Freaking Tom Hardy's in that movie.
Yeah,
I think. Wait, was Tom Hardy in it? No, Tom Hardy's in another one that I just watched the other day. But freaking Gerard Butler's in that. I didn't recognize. Like, dude, it's just crazy. Freaking Matthew McConaughey, Christian Bale.
Dr. Bashir. Alexander Siddig is in that movie.
There you go. Why did I say Tom Hardy? What it was Tom Hardy in the other day that I watched? And I was like, Tom Hardy's in. Oh, freaking Star Trek Nemesis, dude. Tom Hardy's in Nemesis.
What did he play in Nemesis? Was he one of the Remus?
He's the main antagonist. Right? I know. He's Picard's clone.
Holy crap. No, you're right.
Dude, isn't that like mind-blowing? I was watching that the other day and I was like, what the hell is that? Tom Hardy of all people? And then it makes you rethink like who should play a young Picard. Like if they do a Kelvin universe like spinoff of Picard, like do you get
we know who should play Picard?
Who?
The same one who played Xavier.
Right. Okay. So he's great. And I can't remember his name to save my life, but he's fantastic, especially like in the movie Split, like just kills it. Right. But it makes you wonder, right? We're talking like Kelvin universe, like, we got Chris Pine playing Kirk and all that. Like Tom Hardy. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Sorry, I'm looking up his name right now. James McAvoy. There we go.
There we
Gosh.
go. Yeah, McAvoy kills it. And McAvoy is just a fantastic actor all around. Like, and you want to see him act his ass off, dude, go and watch Split. Like, he kills it in Split. But Tom Hardy can hold his own too, man.
I don't know how I never saw that was Tom Hardy.
I didn't see it either. I was literally watching it the other day for some reason.
I've seen that movie like 6 times probably. Nemesis?
Yeah. Right?
Hadn't a clue.
It holds
Not
up,
a clue.
Right? It's one of the better TNG films.
Yes, I would say second to First Contact.
Right? Yeah, me too. I was going to say the same thing.
See?
Isn't it weird to think?
You do have good taste in movies.
I do. I just also acknowledge that The Hobbit is fine.
Some questionable ones, but some good.
The Hobbit is fine.
You also defend the prequels. This has been episode 1.
Well, you want to talk about the prequels, son? That's a different story. Wow, you trying to call me out right now about the prequels?
I don't think we have time to get into that.
I watched The Phantom Menace the other day too, and it holds up. It's good.
Oof. The pod race scene is about the only thing that I can watch out of it anymore.
The pod race scene is great.
So is the final battle. So is the
Duel of the Fates.
The Duel of the Fates. And can we just say, as great as the acting was, or as great as the choreography was for the Duel of the Fates, that all belongs to John Williams. Like, that score for episode 1.
Slayed it.
Holy crap.
Slayed it.
Yes.
even Jar Jar is tolerable. Like, I don't know, man. I have a way of like suspending disbelief is the wrong word, but I definitely like to get invested in movies. But like when I was watching Phantom Menace, something was like, oh, like there's so much stilted dialogue that some of the characters give. Like Qui-Gon Jinn gives a lot of stilted dialogue, you know, and he's a great actor. Nobody can deny that.
Right.
But some of the lines, oh, well, midichlorians, you know, he has to deliver garbage about midichlorians, which nobody likes.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm watching this and I was just like, oh man, dude, this guy's just like a vessel, like for the force flowing through. Like this dude just lives on prophecy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he's just like letting the chips fall where he may. He's like, oh, if the force wills it, you know, screw it, whatever. Like,
but I'm also going to like wave my hand and force the chance cube because I can't control this guy's mind to get the thing that I need for free. Like, yeah, he does that too.
But he's just like a dude. Yeah, he did do that. I guess you're right. But
yeah,
but he's such a just like a freewheeling, like, you
let the chips fall where they may, and they're going to fall here,
right into my hand. I don't know, man. I loved it. It really held up. Now it was much more difficult for me to get into Attack of the Clones.
Yeah,
but I can forgive a lot of it.
I will say, Revenge of the Sith, not a bad movie. I like episode 3. Revenge I really legitimately slaps. Like episode
start
3.
To finish.
Yes.
Slaps. No, Attack of the Clones is the worst one. I would arguably say right before. See, it's really hard because now that like a Return or whatever, Rise of Skywalker's out, it really throws off my whole
perception of which one is the worst
metric. Yeah, because I used to say that Attack was actually like the second worst behind New Hope, and everybody's like, oh, what? New Hope's the best, and like, yeah, it's a great film, it's a great movie, but like, honestly, story wise, it's like pretty bad. You know?
Yeah, it's a plot we've seen a million different times, just told in space opera format.
Yeah, I would always say, like, people are always like, they're like, dude, it started it all. I'm like, that's great, it started it all. But like, honestly, like, if Vader is such a great villain in that movie, and I'm not saying he's not, I'm just saying, like, in that movie, if you take it as like an individual, like, standalone, like, what's Vader's motivation? You know,
the fact that the best Vader scene we have in any movie that he's in happens to be in Rogue One, like. And the best Luke Skywalker scene, #spoilers, happens to be in season 2 of The Mandalorian. That should tell you all you need to know about the expectations for the movies.
I think that the best Luke scene is in Last Jedi.
Oh, Ghost Luke?
I love it.
Yeah. I will say that was a good scene. It was a good scene. I love it.
People get so heated about that scene, but the whole premise and then like levitating in the setting sun.
Yeah. I will say the scene with Luke, I loved. The problem is I've got this shoehorned love story between Finn and Rose and her sacrificing himself. It's like, let him kill himself and that's how they win. Like that's a good story. And that's a complete arc for Finn. And now all of a sudden it's just like, what do you do with Finn and Rose in movie 3 now?
Yeah, I don't think.
Let's just ignore Rose from this point out because half the fans hated her and doxed her and she quit Twitter and all that.
Yeah,
that's awful.
I don't think that they didn't know what to do with Finn and Rose because of that scene. A lot of people say that, and I think that's just
they didn't know what to do the entire time. Is what I say. It wasn't because of that scene. That scene was the culmination of them not knowing what the hell they were doing.
I think seeing what they were doing in Last Jedi was great. I like their stuff. Everybody knocks on the
don't talk
casino
about the
stuff.
Knife. Don't talk about the knife.
No, the knife in Rise is so stupid. No, Rise is actually legitimately like one of the worst movies I've seen from start to finish.
Yes.
And everybody talks like, well, what were they supposed to do after Last Jedi? I'm like, I don't know, man. But
anything but that.
They could have not spent like legitimately 25% of screen time undoing everything that they had laid out in Last Jedi, piece by piece, like literally line by line, dude.
Yeah.
Like it was actually really irritating, and I wish I could recall some of the lines, but I've only seen the movie in theaters.
Like, what about Finn? Oh, he's fine now.
dude. Like what really blows my mind is like the lightsaber, like Anakin's lightsaber that Rey gets in Force Awakens and gives her this epic Force vision where all of the Jedi, like that thing blows up in Last Jedi. It like literally blows up.
Yeah.
Because her and Kylo Ren are like,
her and angsty teen are tugging on it.
Then it just ends up in Rise. No explanation. What? It ends up in Rise of Skywalker with not a freaking word, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and you're gonna sit here and be like, well, they shouldn't have blown it up in Last Jedi. Okay.
Well, Rey didn't know how to build the lightsaber, and so she harvested the kyber crystal from it. Like, she put it in her pocket in between being thrown 3/4 of the way across the starship as it was being warped through by
the kyber crystal exploded, though. That was what caused the explosion.
Have you read the expanded universe? There's an explanation for everything.
I've read almost every expanded universe book, right up until they were like, by the way, now none of them are canon, which I at first hated, and then I was like, oh, dude, no, they're gonna do cool stuff.
They're gonna consolidate everything, and then they just took the worst things and made those canon.
Some of them were cool, good things, but yeah, some of them were really bad. Like, you know what could have stayed Legends was bringing back Emperor Palpatine. That could have just stayed Legends.
That could have just stayed there. We didn't need to hear. We're after 10 o'clock. We didn't need to hear about Palpatine banging some farmer girl and having an illegitimate child in between his rise to the top of the Senate. Like, that's a plot point, really?
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It was all garbage. And then my favorite line of all time, freaking Billy D. Williams comes back as like one of my favorite side characters. By the way, freaking Donald Glover slays it in Solo. Slays it, dude.
You know what I'm so excited for is Donald Glover's coming to the TV.
Heck yes, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, one of my favorite scenes in any Star Wars is him at the card table, and he's got the robot coming and pouring. He's like, everything you've heard about me is true. It's like,
true.
Great Lando line, dude. Great Lando line. And then Billy D. Williams comes back and be like, yeah, Rise is gonna be dope. And then this is the peak of like the okay boomer movement. And they're like, but how are we gonna do this? This is impossible. And it goes, kid, in my day, you just did it. I'm like, okay, boomer. Like, somebody like legitimately said that in the theater when I was there. They're just like, okay, boomer. I was like, how? How? Oh God. Just like, thanks, old man. Tell us about what it was like in your day some more.
You can't go from Card Shark cloak, looking fine, feeling fine, dressing fine, and like, this is my baby, this is my Falcon, and whatnot, to in my day we just did it. It's like, no.
Like, awful. Also, how disingenuous to like the hard work that went into the rebellion. You know what I mean? Like, in my day we just did it. Like, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
General Calrissian. I don't know, man. Yeah, it just bothers me. And then they're just like, you know what, man, Rose, she doesn't need to talk anymore. She can have 30 seconds of dialogue in this film. Why not? Because, like, you know what, she got harassed by fans. She clearly wasn't cutting it. Let's just cut her, Stupid movie. Jeez.
Yep.
Attack of the Clones is better than that movie.
Yeah, and that's a hard pill to swallow.
Anyway.
Honestly. Whew. Anyway, it is almost 15 past the hour. I think that's a great place to end episode 196. Thank you so much for watching us here on this Wednesday night. Catch us in podcast form over on Anchor.fm or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. Spotify, Apple, Google, we are everywhere. If you liked this episode, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already. Follow me on Twitter at Craft Computing to keep up with daily shenanigans. And if you want to keep up with Rhett for whatever reason, you can follow him at Game Devs Quest or at Rhett is Awesome. If you want to take part in the super secret chat or the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon or Float Plane. Links are both down in the video description. You'll be able to talk with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and take part in all the banter, behind-the-scenes stuff, multiple rooms. What am I having to drink that day? It's all there. It's good. It's fun. It's better than I'm making it sound right now. I can tell you that much.
It's great.
The most active Discord I have ever been a part of, bar none. And yeah, I think that's about it. All right. Any closing thoughts there, Rhett?
No, thank you guys for sticking around. All 89 of you left. Make sure you guys give this video a like on your way out. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
You gotta block some people here.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Wow, the trolls are here. All right, time to end this one.
Yeah, for real. Guys, thanks for sticking around, and screw the trolls.
Yep.
We'll catch you all in the super secret after show or whatever.
Cool. Hate to end it on that note, but
yeah.
Screw the trolls. All right. Good night, everyone.
Bye.